we already know it's Phantom Fleet. We've got George, Josh, Cal, and a new guest, Reece. Say hello, Reece.
Hello, everybody.
Uh, Go and check out the full podcast if you haven't already. But stick around now if you specifically want to hear about Godzilla versus Kong. So let's get into it. Godzilla vs. Kong 2021 this year, directed by Adam Wingard, who directed Blair Witch in 2016 and just the best received movie of all time, man. Death Note 2017.
You know, there's a revival for that movie going on, George.
Oh, no.
People are being like, it's not as bad as you think, guys.
I still haven't seen it, and I want to because
maybe that's something we should do for the channel.
I think it should be probably because it is Willem Dafoe, right?
It is. Yeah, and he's amazing. Yeah. He's the only good thing about the movie.
Yeah, I want to see it just for that, but I'm like, can I be bothered to torture myself for what's probably 2 hours? Let's say standard. But yeah, I probably will do it for some YouTube clout. Why not?
Daddy Defoe.
Oh yeah. So the key actors in this, you got Millie Bobby Brown, Alexander Skarsgård, Rebecca Hall, Julian Dennison, Isa Gonzalez, Damien Bashir, Brian Tyree Henry, and Kyle Chandler, who was like top of the bill in the last film, but is barely in this one.
It's like 2 scenes, I think.
Yeah, and he's just like, no, daughter, don't go and do this thing. And then he's like, oh, there you are, daughter. I missed you.
His character reverts so hard at the beginning of Godzilla versus Kong.
I feel like some stuff was cut out. It had like, why was he even there? Like, I feel like some stuff was cut out with him.
Martian Manhunter was supposed to be in this movie, but it got cut out.
Oh, sorry, just to interrupt, because this is going to be a podcast highlight. We are going to be talking spoilers for the movie as well.
Oh, yeah. So, overall thoughts, let's get into it. Cal, what did you think?
Ridiculous. It's what we were hoping for.
It was.
Because you saw you see Godzilla vs. Kong, and after King of Monsters, I personally was hoping for less human stuff, and we probably got less. I think there was probably just about less human stuff. But what it was with the human stuff was less. Oh.
I believe Callum's muted himself.
He has. I have a feeling he was going to touch on the gradual decline of the human element in the MonsterVerse movies, which in this movie they really, really don't care about the human story, like, at all. It's still there, but there's like nothing to like make it. There's no like big thematic reason for them or anything like that. They literally just exist to do plot moments to justify Kong and Godzilla doing stuff.
Which is good. In my opinion, anyways. Like, taking out the human elements and just being like, let them fight, as Mr. Ken would say.
Rest in peace.
Let them fight.
I mean, I think overall the human stuff was like better and sort of gradually phased out, like you said, but the weird Millie Bobby Brown side quest human stuff really got on my nerves, not gonna lie.
You didn't like Conspiracy Man?
No, it was just like comic relief that just didn't really land, but also...
What was the character's name? Was it Bernie?
It was Bernie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't like that guy.
What about when they poured alcohol on Mechagodzilla's controls and that's what got him killed?
Yeah, you would have thought one control panel.
Yeah. Oh.
So I don't. We assumed you were talking about the how they treated the human characters in the movie, Cal. Before you.
Yes. Apologies.
Yeah. No, it's all
I had
good.
connection problems for a second. Yeah, and then with this one, they just are just so dumb-headed. I can't say it for a better word, but the actions of the characters seem to all be summed up with that. With the woman that shows up on the
I know what
Kong
you're
ship.
gonna
I
say.
think it's Maya.
It's the daughter of the person who runs
Who
Apex,
runs
right?
Cybernet Apex?
Yeah.
Cybernex. And while they are in the Hollow Earth, she just turns about, like pulls a gun, is like, "Oh, I'm just gonna take that now."
I need
think she
to email some energy.
Yeah, hang on, I need to transfer some energy. This is what we've been doing all along, and evil laugh and whatnot. And then they try and escape, and they just shoot Kong for some reason. They just start shooting him um in this flying this flying ship, flying craft. And then of course Kong swats them away and they die. And I think that
He
sums
crushes
up.
them, actually. He grabs
crushes
them and then
yeah.
looks at them and crushes them.
Which is what we all wanted to see.
Yes.
But no, I think that sums them up. They're just all I can't even think of the word. They're just vacant. They like, but that's what we wanted after Godzilla King of Monsters. I think people wanted less involved humans. I think that's what we got.
Touching back on the point that Josh made just earlier in the podcast about the development of technology across the films, it just goes out of proportion in this film.
It went from 100 to 1,000.
Yeah, it was just like,
Yeah,
we need to go to the center of the Earth.
If it went like 10, 50, 100, it went 10, 50, 100, a million.
Like, oh yeah, we've got these Tron mobiles to go to the center of the Earth. It was just, yeah.
Oh god, no, but I'm sorry, I have to interrupt though, because this movie, it's so ridiculous. Like, Callum, you nailed it by saying that it's ridiculous at the beginning, because I have written down that this movie is basically like a WrestleMania event with like Kong and Godzilla, right? But
Yes.
And then the things that goes to the center of the Earth. There is literally a scene in this movie after Kong and Godzilla fight. The next time they like see each other is through Godzilla firing his laser to the center of the Earth and staring down the hole at Kong, and both of them roaring at each other through this tube to the center of the Earth. And then they go to fight each other. It's amazing. It's so ridiculous.
Has there ever been anything cooler and dumber in film history?
It's like when kids like use the two cups and put a string on the end of it, like it's tried to call that, but like with the center of the Earth.
And they're just smack talking each other. You can tell. Oh,
What up, bro?
it's like a moment in wrestling where like the person in the ring turns around during his speech, and there's like the other wrestler enters. Or that other one where there was a guy stood on top of the building, and it zooms to the top of the building. I can't remember what match that was, but that always makes me laugh.
The Wall and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But no, this was the WrestleMania for people who don't watch WrestleMania.
Exactly. This is for casual fans.
Yeah, a quick rest in peace to Hong Kong. Not only did they destroy every single building in the city, but also there's now just a giant hole.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like that's probably going to mess with something or other, physics-wise.
Yeah, it's not great.
Field.
With their advanced technology over there, I think they should make some sort of like tunnel.
Yeah, an elevator.
Yeah, or like a really,
Oh.
really long, fun slide that they can make money on.
Like that old Barclaycard advert where they're going on the water slide around the city.
Exactly.
Be like that.
You say that, I feel like that actually might be a plot point if they do another film,
Yeah,
where
if-
it's just
if
like
they
an
do.
elevator to the Hollow Earth type thing.
Monarch base in the Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
To go back to like overall thoughts, while I like love the movie for being just like this wrestling match of ridiculousness, and also Mechagodzilla, which insane. Like in terms of like, I never thought I'd be able to go to the cinema and watch a movie with Mechagodzilla in it. For one,
I mean, you couldn't rip
well,
COVID.
that's
but,
true.
yeah.
I dream soon, maybe. But and this is such a double-edged sword because it's, and I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because it's things I don't like about the other movies. But the Godzilla always has this like, it's always has this like thematical themes of, you know, man versus nature and what happens when we push the boundaries too far. and it's completely gone from this movie. It only exists as man crazy trying to like Jurassic Park logic, but done way less intricately, where it's just man creates Mechagodzilla, man cannot control robot. Godzilla and monkey have to destroy it. Which I guess is touching at like man not being able to control what their creations and, you know, the unspeakable things to nature. And even that has a really cool plot point where it's actually Ghidorah's like psychic link that's controlling Mechagodzilla, which was really cool. But I don't think the movie feels as if it exists in the same universe as the other three movies, purely because of how ridiculous the technology is. And I also don't think... I think it steers away from what I want a Godzilla movie to be, which I still haven't gotten properly. But then the original series did the exact same, right? It became like this Power Rangers thing where every week there was a new Godzilla form.
Yes.
And new enemy, and Ghidorah returns as Mecha Ghidorah next week on, like...
Anyone who has watched in preparation the original Godzilla vs. Kong footage from 1960s can attest to how that evolved.
Yeah,
how the original Godzilla series evolved.
It actually kind of mimics it reasonably well, but I just really wish we had... I guess if the first Godzilla movie had done it slightly better, I wouldn't have this complaint. But my biggest thing for the movie is that I don't know whether it justifies itself as being the end of the MonsterVerse movie, or like at least the end of the big chapter of this MonsterVerse arc, because it just doesn't feel like a natural progression from Godzilla 2014, in my opinion.
And because it's just a natural reskin of Batman versus Superman.
Oh God. Yeah, the way funner movie though.
Than Sinks.
It is.
It's a way funner movie.
It is. It really is. Like just seeing these huge monsters fighting, but like, I like as a kaiju, I like Kong better. So I was a bit disappointed that Godzilla was, but it makes sense in a way because it's a giant lizard thing that shoots nuclear lasers and gets nuclear and stuff and.
Yeah, it goes Super Saiyan.
Reece, did you say as a kaiju I find Godzilla better?
Yeah.
That can be taken two ways.
Reveal your true form now.
Yeah.
Well, but I you know what? I feel like I love Mecha Godzilla, right? But I feel like having a like a Mecha Ghidorah, like someone's made Ghidorah instead. Maybe that would have been a bit like funner to like, obviously because they put Ghidorah in the second Godzilla film because they didn't know whether they were going to continue it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why Mechagodzilla's in this movie as well, because they've lost the rights, I think, Legendary, and now Toei has got it back. But
Yes.
they I think they're currently in talks actually about what's going to happen.
Well, the film did really well. It's like the highest grossing COVID film, right?
Yeah.
So that might give it some help. But I just wanted to ask, what did people think of Mechagodzilla's design?
Cool.
Here's the thing, Mechagodzilla in my brain is this really retro-looking, clunky box lizard robot. And it is kind of clunky looking in the movie. It has really long arms.
This was my problem with it as well. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
It looks really cool, but then the arms were just like really long and like the dinosaur grabby claws that you can get.
It also didn't really, in the original Mechagodzilla Godzilla run, they had like rocket palms, and I'm very sad that it had like thrusters on its hand, right? So when it was punching Kong or Godzilla, there was like jets coming out of its fist. I'm very sad we didn't get it points its fist and fires its fist at the face of Kong or something, like as like a callback. But you're right, the proportions of the mech looked very odd, I think.
Yeah. It wasn't just me that thought that. Then
I didn't.
I'm glad.
It didn't take away from it that much because I'm just like it's a giant robot, but I do understand it being slightly distracting.
Yeah. No, I still thought it was awesome, and like, I think from what I've seen of like the older Godzilla stuff, it obviously it kind of fits in with that. Like, it is kind of goofy look. It's meant to not be a kaiju, but it is type thing. So
Yeah,
it works.
it's always looked goofy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a symptom of those. Not that it looks like anything from Alien, but Alien and Star Wars have the original Star Wars movies have a symptom of like imagining what a future thing would look like, and it all looking like current technology just made cooler looking, like more complicated. And Mechagodzilla, when it was originally designed, definitely like suffers from that. So it literally just looks like an action figure, which is also probably because they designed it to be an action figure as well.
Those toys,
Quite
boy.
possible.
Oh yeah, I actually want to say that. I remember I read a interview where Alan Wingard, the director, said that he was inspired. Mechagodzilla was inspired design by Transformers designs, by in his words simplicity of Transformers designs.
Interesting.
Which is maybe why there's not as many complicated, bloated pieces on him, like like you imagined him having.
Grimlock want to fight
Oh my
Godzilla.
Oh my god! Yes,
That was really loud.
I want that movie now.
I mean, that is the dream. To be fair.
Godzilla like rises from his new home. And it's like, "Bar weep grana Winnie Bar."
Optimus Prime would rip their hearts out.
Oh, they would both die, especially if it was Bay vs. Prime. Anyway, who hasn't given their overall opinions, or have all of us?
It's all touched upon it.
Yeah, I think we've just been generally talking. Does anyone have any like rounding off thoughts about the movie before we go into ranking?
Monkey.
Well, we brought this up. We have previously brought it up when talking, but what about the son, Serizawa, who we hear once that his name is Serizawa, but nothing's really done with that?
Well, no, you don't even hear his name. I think you maybe do.
You hear it once.
It's not obvious. Like, I was like, did I hear that? And then I had to go on like a 10-minute Google hunt to find out that it was in fact his son. And
there's no attention.
It goes back to like the point you made, I think, Al, where it's like it seems like a bunch of stuff was cut out of the movie.
Yeah,
and like his character is meaningless, and also the fact that he's like going against what his father would want is odd. And we don't know why he's doing that. And on that point of like these plot points existing don't really make sense with the other movies, which also goes into my point of it not feeling like it's a justifiable end of the MonsterVerse movie. At the end of King of Monsters, Charles Dance's eco-terrorist organization secure Ghidorah's head, right? Mm-hmm. And that made me think, they're going to make that as the way to balance the ecosystem, Ghidorah or Godzilla. But then, in this movie, the company that have Ghidorah's head are making Mechagodzilla to kill the kaijus, which doesn't align with Charles Dance's organization at all. So that doesn't make sense either. There's a plot hole there where it's like, well, what happened with Charles Dance and the eco-terrorists? And why did they give this organization that are working for the exact opposite thing that they want? Why did they end up getting the skull?
This just took... Me and Josh had a brief sort of text conversation about the film after we'd both finished it. And we did actually come up with like a semi-competent future film involving Charles Dance. In that I can't remember the name of the kaiju. I'm hoping you do. But it's like...
Are you talking about the bio?
Yeah, the one that's like made from...
Plants and stuff. I
think
yeah. It's Gigan. No, Gigan is the... Bioland.
Right.
There you go. Gigan's like the weird, like, Power Rangers looking thing. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. in the future they could bring Charles Dance back. That would maybe fill in the plot hole, but also it quite suits his character because it's made from like eco-terrorism or whatever. But
Yeah,
who knows whether we'll get another film.
I honestly think that the reason why there's this big plot hole with what happened with the skull and why Charles Dance's organization would give it to someone who's working for the exact opposite thing as them is probably just because Charles Dance didn't want to come back. Really, maybe, or it's because they just didn't care. So I don't know whether that is going to be a thing. Also, because of how dumb the movie is, it's like it doesn't matter. Like to justify that happening is fine. I can accept it. It's just when you think about it as this big overarching ending to a chapter of the Monsterverse, it doesn't really suit my thought process. So it's confused. In terms of like how much I enjoy the movie, I thoroughly enjoy the movie. But the more I think about the movie, especially compared to the other ones, the more independent flaws it has, as opposed to general flaws of the Monsterverse that the other three had. I would say.
I feel like the Hollow Earth is a bit, I don't know, like they've touched on it before, but in like a different way, and I feel like it's a bit out of place. The whole thing just kind of is to get Kong his Godzilla scale axe, and B, so they can email some energy to power Mechagodzilla. I thought it was a cool concept, but like slowed down the movie a little bit. I don't know.
I actually thought that was one of the things that made me place it within the Monsterverse a little more. Because it was something that's been mentioned throughout all of the movies, and if they finally show it in this ending one, I get it being just like a place they go to and detracting from the main purpose of the story, being like distracting. But I really like the Journey to the Center of the Earth, Land of the Lost themes from Skull Island, and that was legitimately just Journey to the Center of the Earth in Godzilla vs. Kong. So I didn't dislike it that much. I actually quite enjoyed it, but I could understand why it would detract from your enjoyment, I think. I don't know what anyone else thought of that.
Have we touched on the little girl? Yeah.
No, I did bring that up earlier in that they just killed off the entire island between the films, apart from this one little girl. They all just died in the storm.
Her and a voodoo doll.
Yeah.
I remember being surprised because I thought it's Skull Island, and then it's like, oh no, it's a Monarch base on the bottom in the ocean. But I thought like a start of it could have been show this whatever happened, like show whatever happened on Skull Island, like this, like maybe there could have been a fight or whatever, and Kong gets dragged into this base. I don't know. It feels like there was a lot of ideas in the film, and they maybe couldn't fit them all in. I mean, Lance Reddick is in the film for like a scene. Like he must have been expensive. He can't have been just in one scene.
That's also like another example of them taking something that is pre-existing within the Monsterverse and not really treating it properly, which adds to my whole brain bubble of like the big reasons I have issue with the movie.
But the Hollow Earth stuff was ridiculous, but I quite enjoyed it in terms of like, it looked pretty, and I liked all the imagery of Kong sitting on a throne and opening big doors. I thought it was quite good fun, even if, like Josh said, when you think about it, you start to think, eh?
I'm in complete agreement with you. Like it does, like the one thing with that scene of Kong going there is like, you see the enjoyment of it on his face when he's leaping from place to place, and it does look very nice. Like they've done really well with like the way that it looks and how Kong is acting as soon as he goes there. So I thought that was kind of nice in that regard, like to kind of draw a bit of positives from that little section.
Also, I think the creatures there were in the in the credits of all the movies when they show the murals, or at the beginning, the murals of like Kong and Godzilla in ancient times. I'm pretty sure those flying snake creatures were all depicted in them in like King of Monsters, which is pretty cool.
Didn't notice that. That's a good point.
They could do a lot of stuff with this the Hollow Earth stuff. Whether they do open it up more in the next, if they decide to do another one. Let's hope that they do. Because they can do a lot more. Let's be fair. They can do a lot more. They can have a lot more ideas. They just got to be creative with it.
I really want them to make a new kaiju. Because they did that with the Mutos and the Skullcrawlers, but I feel like they both weren't iconic monsters, right?
Yeah.
No.
Godzilla and Kong are iconic monsters. Mecha Godzilla is iconic. Ghidorah is iconic. I really want a new villain that becomes like this really cool character within kaiju lore. But other cool little fact about that I think you pointed out, Reece, or it might have been Scott actually, that the axe Kong gets from the Hollow Earth is like a Godzilla scale. That's why he can power up the axe with Godzilla's lightning attack, because when Godzilla's charging his laser attack, his scales and his back are glowing blue. I thought that was a really cool idea, because then it's showing how, like, in the past, perhaps Kong's species and Godzilla's species were companions that ruled the Hollow Earth and the surface.
Yeah.
Or maybe mortal enemies. Could be one or the other. But then even when Kong sits on his chair and the blue circle around him starts appearing, it looks like Godzilla's scales again. So I really like the idea of them being like a companion races. Kind of like hippos and that bird. The bird that lands on the hippos and cleans them. Kong's a bit of a bigger bird, but...
I'll also agree with Reece, and I hope they do more, because I think with this film especially, they really have started to nail the fights. Like Godzilla and Kong's fights are so punchy. Like you just feel like you can just feel the weight behind them. They're so satisfying. Like that aircraft carrier, seeing this being whacked across air, and they're swatting down jets. Yeah. I really like those fights.
Yeah, Kong getting a crane and parkouring off skyscrapers to twat Godzilla in the face was pretty amazing.
Yes.
Using ships in the first fight to using them as stepping stones.
Yeah.
Like at Takeshi's castle or something.
Oh, that was amazing as well. Ridiculous but amazing.
But I think they can leave room to bring in a really cool kaiju like Jet Jaguar or something.
Oh, that's a deep cut, Reece. Jet Jaguar is amazing.
the big Power Ranger involved, the big metal Power Ranger.
Oh, that would be good.
It'd just be funny.
And Godzilla won.
He did twice.
Yeah.
Well, it was best of three. Best of three. He won in a bit.
Match.
He won a 2 out of 3 falls match. That's what it was. That's what it was.
Godzilla chose the first fight. Kong chose the second, and then Godzilla. It was kind of a neutral ground in Hong Kong.
Yeah. So that's why Godzilla walked off. He didn't want to get beat again straight away.
He had to brush
Or
off.
win, even, actually. Yeah, he had won. He won on the aircraft carrier, didn't he? That was an odd one.
Do we want to get into rankings soon, or because
I was just going to say, should we sort of do an ending to this podcast highlight and then move on to ranking?
Yeah, because I feel like
Sounds good.
the rest I have to say is about comparing all of them. So
yeah, this is the end of the podcast highlight. I guess the review is that we thought it was very good, very punchy, and that's the kind of thing you like from this film. I don't know if we want to give it a number or if that'll come in the ranking. I mean, if you want to find out where it ranks in the rest of the Monsterverse, then watch the rest of the podcast. But yeah,
I think we should each individually give it its own ranking and then go into the rating thing. So, like, to end off this segment, I would say that I would give it a solid, I want to say 8, but the more I think about it, it goes to a 7.
Okay, so should we say 7.5 for you?
Yeah, 7.5 then.
Okay, Reese.
Ooh. I'll give it a solid. Yeah, well, I'll go for a 7.5 because I did enjoy the big beefy boy slapping meat. So as Callum said, you can feel it in the fight. You can feel the punches landing and all that sort of stuff. The tail hits and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think a nice 7.5 out of 10.
Callum.
Uh, Poor. I don't rate stuff by numbers very often. I would probably give it a 7 or an 8. Probably an 8. If you wanted to see Godzilla versus Kong, that is what you're going to get. If you want anything more, this isn't the film for
Yeah.
you. But
Watch The Notebook.
if you want if you want Godzilla versus Kong, yeah, 100% delivers.
Uh, I'm going to give it an 8. I think. I think this is more my kind of movie. Like, a big action film fan. Like I've spoken about on the channel before. I'm a massive fan of Predator, and it's plain and simple. Kaiju's punching each other. What more could you want? So yeah, but balances out at a 7.75 out of 10.
Just as it should.
Cha-ching!
7.75 out of 10, and the tagline that comes across as it is mindless fun.
Agreed.
So yeah, I think that
But-
ends the podcast highlight segment, right?
Yeah, so if you were watching the podcast, stick around for the ranking now. If you're watching the highlight, see you soon because you're going to go and watch the rest of the podcast now.
You will.